Beloved one, before you close your eyes tonight, there is something your soulmate can no longer keep buried inside their heart. They have tried to stay silent, tried to act strong, and tried to convince everyone that losing you would not destroy them. But tonight, one final message has escaped from the place where they hid every regret, every tear, and every truth about you. Please do not fall asleep yet. Because what they are about to reveal may change the way you understand your entire connection. Listen carefully. Your soulmate has been sitting alone for hours, holding their phone in one hand and an old memory of you in the other. The room around them is completely silent, but inside their mind, your name is louder than anything else. They have written the same message again and again, only to erase it before pressing send. Every version begins differently, but each one ends with the same confession: I never stopped loving you. They are terrified that you have already moved on, terrified that someone else now receives the attention they once took for granted, and terrified that the distance between you has become too great to cross. Yet something happened tonight that made silence impossible. It was not a dream, not a random thought, and not a passing moment of loneliness. Someone in their family found a small box they had hidden at the back of a cupboard, wrapped carefully in an old piece of cloth. Inside that box were things your soulmate never had the courage to throw away: a photograph, a folded note, a tiny reminder of a conversation you may not even remember, and a letter addressed to you that was never delivered. Their family member stood frozen after reading the first few lines, because the letter revealed a truth no one had understood. Your soulmate did not walk away because their feelings disappeared. They walked away because they believed staying would place you in the middle of a conflict you did not deserve. They thought leaving you would protect you, but instead, their silence created a wound that neither of you knew how to heal. The family member carried the box into the room and placed it directly in front of them. Your soulmate looked at it, and their face changed immediately. Their hands began to shake because they knew the secret they had guarded for so long was no longer hidden. The family member did not shout or accuse them. They simply asked, "Why are you still pretending this person means nothing to you?" Your soulmate had no answer. They lowered their head, and after a long silence, tears began falling onto the unopened message glowing on their phone. For the first time, they admitted that every decision they made after losing you was influenced by the pain of your absence. Every new person they met was compared to you. Every celebration felt incomplete. Every quiet night ended with the same thought: what would have happened if I had told the truth? They confessed that they had searched for signs of you in places where they knew you would never appear. They had checked old conversations, remembered the exact sound of your voice, and replayed the moment everything changed between you. But they kept telling themselves that contacting you would be selfish. They believed you were safer without their confusion, their family pressure, and their unfinished battles. Tonight, however, that belief shattered. The family member opened the old letter and read a sentence aloud: "If I ever lose them, it will not be because I stopped loving them. It will be because I became afraid that my love would ruin their peace." Hearing those words spoken aloud broke something inside your soulmate. They realized that the choice they once called protection had become punishment for both of you. Don't skip. Because the message they are preparing is not simply an apology. It contains the name of the person who influenced the separation, the truth about a conversation that happened behind your back, and the reason your soulmate has been unable to sleep peacefully for several nights. A few days ago, they discovered that someone close to them had given you incomplete information. This person made you believe your soulmate had chosen another path willingly, while telling your soulmate that you had already decided to leave. Both of you were given different versions of the same story. Both of you were pushed into silence. Your soulmate had trusted this person because they appeared calm, concerned, and protective. But the truth surfaced when an old voice recording was found on a device that had not been used in years. The recording captured part of a conversation that was never meant to be heard. In it, the person admitted that they were afraid of what would happen if you and your soulmate stayed together. They worried your connection would change the family's plans, expose certain secrets, and give your soulmate the courage to make independent decisions. So they created doubt, exaggerated misunderstandings, and waited for pride to do the rest. Your soulmate listened to the recording twice, then a third time, hoping they had misunderstood. But every word was clear. The past had not ended naturally, it had been carefully manipulated. And now your soulmate is struggling with a terrible question: should they tell you everything and risk reopening your pain, or should they remain silent and live forever knowing you were separated by a lie? Tonight, they chose truth. Their message begins with, "Please read this before you fall asleep, because I cannot survive another night knowing you still believe I abandoned you without caring." They explain that they were told you wanted nothing more to do with them. They describe the exact moment they received that information and how their entire body went numb. They reveal that they waited for you to reach out, while you may have been waiting for the same thing. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and eventually both of you learned how to hide the emptiness. But hiding is not healing. Your soulmate understands that now. They know an apology cannot recover lost time, and a message cannot erase everything you endured. Still, they want you to know that your love was never one-sided. You were never foolish for feeling the connection. You were never imagining the way they looked at you, the way their voice changed when they spoke your name, or the way they became quiet whenever someone mentioned your future. Their feelings were real, but their courage was weak. That is the confession they are finally willing to make. They are not blaming only the person who interfered. They are also admitting their own failure. They should have come directly to you. They should have trusted the connection instead of listening to fear. They should have asked one honest question before allowing silence to destroy everything. In the message, they write, "I let other people speak for you when I should have listened to your heart. I let fear make a permanent decision during a temporary storm. And I have regretted it every day since." The words are simple, but behind them are years of emotion they never expressed. Your soulmate pauses after writing that sentence because another memory suddenly returns. It is the memory of the last time they saw you trying to remain strong. They remember your eyes. They remember that you looked like you wanted to say something but stopped yourself. At the time, they interpreted your silence as indifference. Tonight they understand that it may have been heartbreak. That realization causes them to stand up and walk toward the window, unable to breathe normally. Their family member remains nearby, watching them face the truth they avoided for too long. Then something unexpected happens. The family member admits they had suspected the interference but had been afraid to become involved. They reveal that, shortly after the separation, they saw your soulmate secretly crying in a locked room. They heard them whisper your name and promise that one day they would fix everything. But that day never came because each passing month made the fear larger. The family member says, "You keep waiting for the perfect moment, but the perfect moment may never come." Send the message while there is still a heart on the other side that deserves the truth. Those words remain in the air. Your soulmate returns to the phone and continues writing. This time, they do not erase anything. They tell you about the box, the letter, the recording, and the lie. They tell you that no relationship afterward ever felt complete because part of them remained trapped in the moment they lost you. They confess that even when they smiled in photographs, attended celebrations, and told others they were fine, there was a quiet part of them asking where you were and whether you still remembered. They say, "I do not know whether you can forgive me, and I do not have the right to demand another chance. But I need you to know the truth before another night passes." There is no pressure in the message, only honesty. They are not asking you to forget the pain. They are asking you to understand the hidden reason behind it. Yet the most emotional part has not been written. Your soulmate is struggling to type one final sentence because it reveals how deeply they fear losing you again. Their finger hovers over the screen as memories move through their mind, a moment of laughter you shared, a promise that was never completed, a conversation about the future, and the last look you gave them before distance became permanent. They begin typing slowly. "If there is even a small part of you that still feels what I feel, please do not let this message become another thing we both regret ignoring." They read it back, but instead of sending it, they place the phone down. The fear returns. What if you do not respond? What if you have built a new life? What if telling the truth only disturbs your peace? Their family member sees the hesitation and asks one final question: would you rather face rejection honestly, or continue living inside a lie? Your soulmate knows the answer. They pick up the phone again, but before pressing send, a notification appears. It is not from you. It is from the person whose voice was captured in the recording. The message says, "I know you found it. Do not contact them until I explain everything." Your soulmate's face becomes pale. For a moment, they wonder how this person discovered the recording had been found. Then another message appears: "There is one part of the story you still do not know." Your soulmate stares at the screen, feeling the past open like a door they were never prepared to enter. The family member asks what happened, but your soulmate cannot speak. A third message arrives, and this one includes a photograph taken long ago. In the photograph, you are standing somewhere your soulmate was told you had never been. Beside you is a person connected to the original separation, and on the back of the image is a handwritten date that changes the timeline of everything. Your soulmate zooms in, trying to understand, and notices something in your hand, a sealed envelope with their name written across the front. An envelope they never received. Suddenly, the story is no longer only about false words. Someone had intercepted a message you tried to send. Someone had known you were reaching out and deliberately made sure your soulmate never saw it. Your soulmate's anger rises, but beneath it is overwhelming grief. You had not remained silent. You had tried. The evidence had been hidden. They look toward the old box, realizing there may be more missing pieces inside. Together, they begin searching through every letter and object. At the bottom, beneath the cloth lining, they find a second compartment. It contains another envelope, but this one is unopened and marked with a warning: give this to them only if the truth is discovered. The handwriting belongs to someone your soulmate recognizes immediately, someone who is no longer present to explain what they knew. With trembling hands, your soulmate opens it. The first line reads, "The separation was never the real plan. It was only the beginning." Your soulmate stops breathing for a moment. The letter describes a family agreement made years earlier, a promise involving reputation, money, and a future marriage arrangement your soulmate had never accepted. According to the letter, your connection threatened that agreement because you made your soulmate question everything they had been taught to obey. The person who interfered was not acting alone. Several people knew, and one of them had secretly tried to protect you both by saving evidence. But before they could reveal it, circumstances changed, and the evidence was hidden inside the box. Your soulmate reads further and discovers that you may have been watched from a distance after the separation, not to harm you, but to make sure you did not reconnect. Every time there was a possibility of contact, someone created a distraction, repeated a rumor, or redirected a message. Your soulmate feels sick realizing how many moments may have been stolen. Don't skip. Because the final page contains something even more personal. It says that you once came very close to meeting your soulmate again. You were in the same place on the same day, separated by only a few minutes. Someone knew you were coming and convinced your soulmate to leave early. The excuse seemed ordinary at the time, but now its purpose is obvious. Your soulmate remembers that day clearly. They had felt restless without knowing why. They kept looking back as they walked away, almost as if their heart sensed you were nearby. Reading this, they understand that the connection was not failing, it was being repeatedly interrupted. Tears fall onto the page as regret becomes almost unbearable. They whisper, "How many times did they keep us apart?" The family member cannot answer. But the letter ends with a piece of information that gives your soulmate a reason to act immediately. It says that the person who received the intercepted envelope may still have the original message you wrote. If that envelope is found, it could prove exactly what you were trying to say at the time. Your soulmate now has two choices: send the incomplete message to you tonight, or confront the person who kept your letter and risk another delay. They know waiting has already cost too much. So they make a decision. They press send on the message they prepared, but just as the screen changes, they realize it has not gone through. Your contact information is no longer active. The message remains undelivered. Panic rises in their chest. They try another method, then another, but nothing reaches you. For a few seconds, they feel as though fate has closed the door again. Then the family member remembers something. An old document in the box contains an address connected to someone who may know where you are now. Your soulmate looks at the time. It is late, but they no longer care. They gather the letters, the recording, and the photograph. They refuse to lose another night to hesitation. Before leaving, they write one final version of the message on paper, folding it carefully and placing it inside an envelope with your name. The words at the end are different from everything they typed before. I am not asking you to return to the past. I am asking you to hear the truth so that, whatever happens next, neither of us has to live inside someone else's lie. They hold the envelope against their heart, close their eyes, and whisper that they hope you have not completely given up on them. Outside, the night is quiet, but their decision has already set something powerful in motion. Because the person who interfered has realized your soulmate is coming for answers, and before your soulmate can reach the door, the phone rings. This time, the call is coming from a number connected to you. Your soulmate freezes, staring at the screen, afraid to answer and even more afraid not to. The family member whispers, "Pick it up." With trembling fingers, your soulmate accepts the call. At first there is only silence. Then a voice says, "You finally found the box. But there is something about them you need to know before you try to bring them back. Don't skip. Because the next few moments reveal the one truth your soulmate has spent years searching for. Everything they believed about losing you is about to change forever." The phone call ended, but the silence it left behind felt louder than any words. Your soulmate stood completely still, staring at the screen as though another message might suddenly appear. Their heart refused to believe that the conversation was over. Every instinct told them that whoever had called knew the entire story, every hidden lie, every missing letter, and every painful moment that had kept the two of you apart. The family member quietly stepped closer and asked what had happened, but your soulmate could barely speak. Their voice trembled as they whispered, "Someone knows where the truth has been hiding." Without wasting another second, they gathered every letter, every photograph, every forgotten memory from the old wooden box. For years they had believed those memories belonged to the past. Tonight they understood they were actually pieces of a puzzle that had never been completed. Sleep was impossible. Every minute felt like an hour as they waited for the first light of morning. Their mind replayed every conversation they had ever shared with you, wondering how different life could have been if just one honest message had reached its destination. As dawn arrived, your soulmate drove to the place where everything had fallen apart years ago. Time had changed the streets, the buildings, and even the people who lived there, but the memories remained exactly the same. standing there brought back every emotion they had tried to bury. Just as they were about to leave, an elderly caretaker slowly approached and looked directly into their eyes. After a long silence he quietly asked, "Are you the one who never received the letter?" Those words made your soulmate freeze. They had never met this man before, yet somehow he already knew why they had come. The caretaker unlocked a small storage room that had remained untouched for years. Dust covered every shelf, and forgotten boxes filled the corners. From the lowest drawer he carefully removed a faded envelope. Your soulmate's name was written across the front in handwriting they recognized instantly. It was yours. Their hands shook so badly they almost dropped it. Tears filled their eyes before they even opened it. Inside was the message that should have reached them years ago. The very first sentence shattered every misunderstanding. "Please don't believe anyone until you've heard my heart. I never chose to leave you." Your soulmate could no longer hold back their tears. Every lie they had accepted over the years collapsed in a single moment. They realized you had never abandoned them. You had searched for them. You had waited. You had hoped that one day the truth would finally reach them. But someone had stolen that chance from both of you. The caretaker quietly explained that the letter had been hidden by a person who feared what would happen if you and your soulmate reunited. That person believed your love would expose secrets the family had protected for years. Instead of allowing the truth to be spoken, they buried it where no one would ever think to look. Your soulmate fell to their knees, holding your letter tightly against their chest. Every regret they had carried suddenly felt even heavier because they understood that neither of you had truly given up. Both of you had been trapped inside someone else's deception. Before leaving, the caretaker handed them one final envelope. "This wasn't written by your person," he said softly. "It was written by the person who hid the truth." Your soulmate opened it carefully. Inside was a single handwritten confession. "I thought separating you would protect my family. But instead I destroyed two innocent hearts. If you're reading this, I'm sorry. I can no longer carry this guilt." There were no more excuses. No more unanswered questions. Only the truth remained. Your soulmate folded both letters carefully and placed them close to their heart. At that moment, they made a promise they would never break again. No matter how long it takes. No matter how far I have to travel. I will tell them the truth with my own voice. As they walked toward their car, their phone vibrated one final time. It was a new message from an unknown number. There were only 7 words. "They're closer than you've ever imagined. Hurry." Your soulmate looked toward the road ahead with tears still in their eyes. For the first time in years, those tears were not caused only by pain. They were filled with hope. Because sometimes the longest separation is not the end of a love story. It is only the moment before the truth finally brings two hearts back together.